The summer of 2024 was supposed to be like any other in West London. The quiet, tree-lined streets of Shepherd's Bush hummed with the gentle rhythm of daily life, a stark contrast to the chilling horror that was about to unfold. On the 8th of July, an insidious darkness descended upon this serene, residential enclave, marking the genesis of a series of events that would plunge Britain into a collective state of outrage and disbelief. What began as a local tragedy quickly escalated into a national nightmare, exposing the depths of human depravity and the fragility of trust. Just 2 nights after the initial crime, a scene of disturbing calm unfolded on the iconic Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol. Surveillance cameras, silent sentinels of the night, captured a figure moving with an unnerving serenity. It was the night of the 10th of July, and the camera's lens focused on a man in a trench coat, his stride unhurried, as he pulled a red suitcase across the historic span. There was no tremor of fear, no flicker of panic in his demeanor, only a chilling, almost theatrical composure. The harsh scrape of the suitcase against the cobblestones echoed through the hushed darkness, a discordant note in the otherwise tranquil night. The contents of that suitcase would soon send shockwaves across the nation. When police eventually prized it open, they discovered human remains, brutally dismembered and meticulously packed. The man's identity was swiftly established. Yost Andres Moscera, a 35-year-old Colombian, formerly an adult film actor. His face, seen on countless screens, now became synonymous with a horror previously reserved for fiction. The discovery in a London apartment, a freezer containing a human head, blood spattered across surfaces, and macabre homemade videos, solidified the case as one of the most gruesome crimes in recent British memory. The victims were Alfonso, a 62-year-old swimming instructor, and Paul Longworth, a 71-year-old retired repairman. They shared a life and a home, a ground-floor flat in Shepherd's Bush. Their civil partnership formalized in early 2023. Alfonso was a man beloved by his community. For over 2 decades, he had been a fixture at West London community sports centers, his gentle nature and dedication evident in every swimming lesson he gave. From apprehensive toddlers taking their first strokes to elderly individuals in need of aquatic rehabilitation, Albert touched countless lives with his patient guidance. His introverted demeanor belied a deep well of kindness and a genuine desire to help others. Paul Longworth, in contrast, was a retired electrician, his hands accustomed to the practicalities of construction sites across Hammersmith and Fulham. Despite his advanced age, Paul remained remarkably active, finding solace and purpose in gardening, household repairs, and meticulously tending to small tasks. His patience was legendary, a quiet strength that complemented Albert's softer nature. Their paths had converged at a London charity event in late 2021. What began as a casual acquaintance blossomed into a deep and abiding affection, founded on mutual understanding and unwavering emotional support. Their decision to enter a civil partnership in February 2023 was a testament to their commitment, a public declaration of a shared future as a devoted gay couple. Their Shepherd's Bush flat, though modest, was a sanctuary of peace and comfort, a place where their individual lives intertwined seamlessly, built on respect and companionship. By mid-2023, those closest to them recognized them as a stable, mature couple, their relationship a quiet testament to enduring love. It was around this time, in mid-2023, that a subtle shift began in their harmonious existence. Alfonso, then in his 60s, sought connection beyond his established circles, venturing onto social media platforms and gay dating apps. It was through these digital avenues that he encountered Yost Andres Moscera, the 35-year-old Colombian with a past in adult film. Moscera, having recently arrived in England, drifted through life with no stable employment and dwindling finances. Albert, known for his trusting nature and innate desire to help those in need, particularly young foreigners, saw in Moscera someone deserving of his compassion. Friends and acquaintances of Albert recalled his tendency to offer temporary shelter to partners he felt needed assistance, sometimes for a few days, sometimes longer. Moscera became one such beneficiary of Albert's generosity, initially staying for brief periods, then extending his unwelcome residency. During his time at the Shepherd's Bush flat, Moscera engaged in sexual encounters with Albert. These interactions, it would later be revealed, were transactional, devoid of any genuine emotional connection. Paul Longworth, ever perceptive, harbored misgivings about Moscera's growing presence. The atmosphere in the apartment, once so tranquil, grew palpably tense as Moscera became a more frequent fixture. Moscera himself was an enigma. Described as cold, reserved, and quiet, he possessed an unsettling ability to subtly charm older individuals. Albert, blinded by his own kindness, perceived Moscera as a soul in need of guidance, someone he could help rebuild his life. For Moscera, however, the couple's apartment was merely a temporary haven, offering a semblance of safety and material comfort. As days turned into weeks, Moscera shed his quiet facade, his insidious intentions slowly surfacing. He began to move through the apartment with an unsettling sense of ownership, his actions no longer those of a temporary guest. He sifted through mail, scrutinizing personal documents, and openly questioned Albert and Paul about their bank accounts. A silent, terrifying shift occurred. Moscera began to delve into the dark recesses of the internet, his search history revealing a chilling progression. Police later uncovered his queries: serial killer in London, Jack the Ripper, how to dismember a body, how long does it take to die from bleeding? These chilling searches were clear harbingers of a meticulously planned crime. The ominous preparations did not stop there. Moscera acquired a large freezer, the kind capable of holding an adult body, ostensibly to better preserve food. The purchase, made online and delivered to the flat, went largely unnoticed by the unsuspecting victims. It was a chilling first step in a barbaric blueprint known only to him. The tension within the apartment became almost unbearable. Paul Longworth, increasingly uncomfortable with Moscera's constant presence, grew wary. Even Alfonso, despite his inherent tolerance, found himself growing guarded and tense. Moscera, once so reticent, became cryptic, his silence punctuated by occasional outbursts of anger. Hours of his days were consumed by fervent writing in a personal notebook, later confiscated by police. This diary, a chilling testament to his burgeoning psychosis, was filled with obsessive thoughts, graphic descriptions of inflicting pain, elaborate plans for covering his tracks, and disturbing quotes from notorious murderers. One entry stood out, a chilling harbinger of doom: "They will never wake up again. The room will be quiet forever." While never formally diagnosed, police speculated that Moscera may have suffered from a personality or dissociative disorder, his detachment a terrifying mask for a burgeoning evil. Albert, sensing the encroaching danger, may have contemplated expelling Moscera from their home, but it was already too late. The threads of their lives, once so interwoven with peace and affection, were now inextricably tangled in the sinister web spun by their uninvited guest. The evening of the 8th of July, 2024. In the small ground-floor apartment on Scott's Road, Shepherd's Bush, a seemingly ordinary night devolved into an indelible milestone of horror. In a cramped bedroom, bathed in a dim yellow light, Alfonso, oblivious to the monstrous betrayal awaiting him, engaged in what he believed to be a routine sexual encounter with Yost Andres Moscera. But this time, Moscera had a long knife concealed beneath his pillow. In a sudden, horrifying move, he retrieved the blade and plunged it repeatedly into Albert's body. The forensic report would later confirm at least 15 stab wounds, primarily to the chest and neck. Even more horrifying, Moscera recorded the entire gruesome act on his phone. In the video, his face remained impassive, his gaze fixed directly into the camera. With a chilling, detached calm, he uttered the words, "Do you like it?" as if this horrific act were merely a perverse game. That chilling question, devoid of remorse or humanity, would echo through the Old Bailey courtroom, a jarring assault on the remaining peace in the hearts of those who bore witness. Paul Longworth, in the adjacent room, must have heard the commotion. Panicked and confused, he rushed into the bedroom, his mind struggling to comprehend the unfolding nightmare. But before he could fully grasp the horror, Moscera lunged. A hammer, previously hidden beneath the bed, was now in his grasp. He struck Paul square in the head, once, then again, until the older man collapsed to the floor, his skull crushed, his life extinguished instantly. With both victims dead, a new, even more disturbing phase of Moscera's plan began: the dismemberment of the bodies. Police would later trace a gruesome trail of blood leading from the bedroom to the kitchen, where the large freezer he had so calculatingly purchased now stood. With chilling precision, he used knives and kitchen utensils to systematically dismember the bodies, meticulously sorting each part. Paul's head and torso were carefully wrapped in plastic bags and placed in the freezer. Albert's body, partially wrapped, awaited its next stage of disposal. The once cozy home had been transformed into a macabre abattoir, a silent testament to a killer's chilling efficiency. 2 nights later, on the evening of the 10th of July, 2024, at approximately 11 p.m., a solitary figure appeared at the southern end of the Clifton Suspension Bridge in Bristol. It was Moscera, now burdened with 2 large suitcases, one a vibrant red, the other a muted silvery gray. The harsh scrape of the cases against the cobblestones cut through the stillness of the night, a discordant melody under the watchful eye of CCTV cameras. Moscera's movements were deliberate, unhurried. He calmly dragged the suitcases across the bridge, stopping midway. He sat down, surveyed his surroundings with an unsettling composure, then placed both suitcases against the railing. There was no visible panic, no hurried movements. Before departing, Moscera turned back, bending down to wipe something from beside the red suitcase, a dark, viscous liquid later confirmed to be blood seeping from within. He even entered the public restroom located on the bridge, as if marking some invisible territory. Then, with an almost casual air, he turned and vanished into the darkness, leaving behind a silent, gruesome secret. Roughly an hour later, a cyclist passing by the area detected a pungent, putrid odor emanating from the red suitcase. Initially dismissing it as discarded refuse or a deceased animal, his instincts screamed otherwise when he noticed a dark red liquid dripping from the bottom of the case. He immediately contacted the police. Within minutes, the Avon and Somerset Police Rapid Response Unit arrived. Flashlights pierced the gloom as officers, donning gloves, carefully unzipped the suitcase. What they discovered within was something no amount of training could truly prepare them for: human remains, meticulously wrapped in plastic, still partially frozen. An arm, a torso, and traces of a scalp. The other suitcase held additional body parts, seemingly from a second victim. Both cases were swiftly sealed and transported to the Bristol Forensics Department. The Clifton Bridge, a national landmark, was immediately sealed off, transformed overnight into a major crime scene. The nation reeled. News of the 2 suitcases containing human remains, abandoned on Bristol's most famous bridge, dominated headlines the following morning. Police officially confirmed the bodies had been deliberately and elaborately dismembered, a barbaric act rarely witnessed in modern British history. A massive investigation was launched, with both the Metropolitan Police and Avon and Somerset Police Departments collaborating to solve the horrific crime. Immediately after the discovery of the 2 suitcases on Clifton Bridge, the forensic team of the Avon and Somerset Police Department embarked on a comprehensive examination. Their objectives were clear: identify the victims and locate the original crime scene. During the meticulous examination of the red suitcase's interior lining, experts discovered several small clumps of dog hair and minute particles of ash-gray fabric dust. When analyzed under a microscope and cross-referenced with a vast physical evidence database, these samples provided a crucial breakthrough. They were an exact match to the type of dog hair and fabric dust found in the ground floor apartment on Scott's Road, where Moscera had been staying. Concurrently, on a piece of skin recovered from the suitcase, forensics noticed a distinctive tattoo on the left shoulder blade, a water wave symbol accompanied by the Spanish words "Nadar pa vivir," swim to live. This unique personal identification mark was instantly recognized and confirmed by Albert Alfonso's friends and colleagues. Further DNA analysis of the victim's tissue, compared against biometric data and medical records, yielded a 100% positive identification of Albert Alfonso. While the forensic team worked tirelessly on the physical evidence, another team of investigators focused on Moscera's personal mobile phone, which had been seized upon his arrest at Bristol Temple Mead Station on the 13th of July. A deep dive into his text messages and call records revealed numerous conversations between Moscera and Albert Alfonso, detailing appointments, financial arrangements, and deeply personal exchanges. Crucially, GPS location data and map browse history unequivocally placed Moscera in the Shepherd's Bush area almost continuously from the 2nd of July to the 9th of July, the period immediately preceding and following the murders. These digital breadcrumbs confirmed that Albert Alfonso and Paul Longworth's apartment was the last known location of Moscera before he embarked on his chilling journey to dispose of the bodies hundreds of miles away in Bristol. Once the victims' identities were confirmed, police conducted a search of their legally registered addresses. This revealed that both Albert Alfonso and Paul Longworth resided at ground floor flat 6, Scott Road, Shepherd's Bush, and had not been heard from for over 48 hours. Officers were immediately dispatched to the apartment. After repeated unanswered knocks, they forced entry. The scene within almost immediately confirmed their worst fears. This was the original crime scene. Even seasoned investigators were left speechless. Blood trails snaked from the bedroom to the kitchen. Sharp instruments lay strewn across surfaces, bearing the unmistakable signs of having been used for dismemberment. Most disturbingly, the large freezer in the corner of the kitchen contained the remaining body parts, including 2 human heads and organs that had yet to be disposed of. The apartment, once a haven of domesticity, was now a chilling tableau of unimaginable horror. Following the recovery of the dismembered body parts from the 2 suitcases on Clifton Bridge and from the freezer in the Shepherd's Bush flat, a comprehensive process of matching, identification, and analysis was undertaken by forensic teams from both the Metropolitan and Bristol Police Departments. The recovered parts were meticulously processed under strict sterilization conditions, photographed, and subjected to histological examination to ensure no detail was overlooked. At Bristol Police Headquarters, Yost Andres Moscera was escorted into an interrogation room shortly after his arrest at Temple Mead Station. He exhibited no signs of panic or emotional distress. On the contrary, he remained unnervingly calm. During his initial interview, Moscera admitted to killing Albert Alfonso, but claimed it was an act committed in a moment of lost control during sexual intercourse. According to his testimony, Alfonso had made him feel intimidated and humiliated, leading to a violent outburst, an argument designed to downgrade the charge from murder to manslaughter. However, when questioned about Paul Longworth's death, Moscera vehemently denied any responsibility. He asserted that when Paul entered the room, it was Albert who had killed him, and Moscera had simply been caught in the aftermath. This flimsy claim was swiftly and definitively contradicted by overwhelming video evidence, the established time of Paul's death, and the blood spatter patterns at the scene. Police described the interrogation as a tense, silent ordeal, with Moscera maintaining a level voice, offering no apologies, showing no fear. He frequently looked directly into the camera as he answered questions, as if performing a role in a play he himself had directed. His composure was chilling, a stark contrast to the horrific acts he was accused of. With the forensic examinations complete and suspect statements taken, the police meticulously consolidated the entire case file, preparing for a prosecution that would seek the most severe punishment possible. The evidence amassed against Yost Andres Moscera was undeniable, each detail tightening the legal siege around him. Foremost among the evidence was the chilling CCTV footage from Clifton Bridge, clearly showing Moscera dragging the 2 suitcases containing the victim's remains on the night of the 10th of July without any attempt at concealment or hesitation. Then there was the horrific video recording of Albert Alfonso's murder, discovered on the killer's own phone, capturing his chilling question, "Do you like it?" Furthermore, data extracted from Moscera's phone and computer revealed a disturbing search history. Keywords like Jack the Ripper, how to dismember a body, and freezer for preserving bodies, leaving no doubt about his premeditated intentions. A witness in Shepherd's Bush also provided crucial testimony, confirming they had seen Moscera entering and leaving the victim's apartment with a strange demeanor on the days surrounding the murders. At the crime scene, blood traces and DNA samples conclusively matched both victims. Perhaps most damning was Moscera's handwritten diary. Within its pages, police discovered haunting descriptions of his desire for control, his compulsion to inflict pain on others, and the perverse sense of release he experienced through killing. These chilling insights offered a direct window into his twisted psyche. All documents, forensic results, and testimonies were meticulously compiled into a massive prosecution file, hundreds of pages long, culminating in the official accusation. 2 counts of intentional murder, premeditated, of a particularly serious and psychologically deviant nature. This was no mere murder. It was the naked exposure of a crime nurtured in silence and chilling intention. In courtroom number 5 of the Old Bailey, a venue steeped in centuries of British legal history, Yost Andres Moscera stood in the dock. Dressed in a monochromatic prison uniform, he maintained a completely cold and impassive expression throughout the entire trial. Even when the horrifying video recording of Alfonso's murder was played for the jury and the public, the footage showing him stabbing his victim and then asking, "Do you like it?" Moscera displayed no discernible emotion. His attorney, Edward Hetherington, KCB, attempted to present a defense centered on the defendant's alleged mild personality disorder, a history of mental instability, and past trauma. However, independent experts called to testify unequivocally rejected these claims as sufficient to constitute a loss of control under the law. The panel of experts concluded that Moscera was fully aware of his actions and that each step he took was carefully planned and executed. The trial, at the time of this narrative, was still ongoing, but the charges against Moscera were crystal clear: 2 counts of murder, supported by incontrovertible evidence. Despite this, the defendant continued to admit only to the manslaughter of Alfonso, denying Paul Longworth's murder and attempting to shift blame to the circumstances and even the victim himself. Public opinion and legal observers alike were united in their demand for the maximum possible sentence. Their outcry was not solely driven by the number of victims, but by the sheer savagery, calculated planning, and chilling coldness that permeated every stage of the crime. Articles, news reports, and public discourse universally condemned the events, describing them as a horror movie script brought to life, but with no director, no special effects, only naked, horrifying reality. The case of Yost Andres Moscera transcends a simple murder story. It stands as a stark warning about dysfunctional relationships, the insidious nature of physical transactions disguised as kindness, and the devastating consequences of mental illness left unaddressed in silence. Love, often sought as a balm for loneliness, can, when misplaced, tragically become the fuel for unimaginable horror. In a world where personal connections are increasingly fragile, Moscera did not emerge as a killer from the shadows. He walked calmly down a crowded street, openly dragging a suitcase of evil. Fearless, unburdened by stealth or concealment. It was only when the suitcase was opened that people truly grasped the terrifying truth that the most horrific crimes are sometimes not hidden, but manifest in the most disturbingly ordinary forms.